Yep, you're first. Hey, accelerator. Cough, cough. Excuse me. I just updated the description, just the top paragraph. Yeah. Okay, so this is where they are derived from, characteristic derived from both AddVertexShader and AddFragmentShader, and so they have the same instance, but this is a virtual base class. Allow differential. Now if I make it a non-virtual base class, no, normal base class, I would get two instances, which then might have the same effect as oh, what is that favor? Oh. Now, if only I had a good memory, I would tell you. There was stuff. I mean, if I could remember everything that was told to me and all the URLs I looked at, and etc., then I could probably tell you something useful. But I forgot everything. So the only thing I have left is my own code. You probably have to implement something yourself. So the best thing I can offer, I'm afraid, is to look at my code, which is on GitHub. Yeah, I hope you have Linux, then you can even compile and run it. What do you mean, what build? What build did I use? What do you mean with build? Well, the current if you go to my repository, the current readme is pretty good, so you could do this, I think, read what is below there, and then you can even get it to work. You should be able to compile and run my application, which I think is very handy if you want to understand how things work. And then you can look at the IMU stuff, which is in source vulkan, and I guess it's just these two files. Yeah, I'm using my special stuff, which you probably don't want, but this is just to tell my engine, what the layout is of this structure. Sorry, I cannot remember it anymore. I got it working, and well, in my opinion, it's probably never need to touch it again. So the header doesn't contain much except things for which I think, well, that Digital is not going to be happy looking at that because it's too specific for my engine. Let's look at the .cxx file. I think that if you get my the Linux viewer application to compile, configure and compile, for which you have to read that README front page, then you should be able to, you know, run one of the test applications and then just set breakpoints in this file, imgu.cxx, and see which function is called in which order, and then what it does at the level of the imgu API. There might be better examples actually for you to use. Maybe you should come to the Discord, the Vulkan Discord, if you're really into Vulkan. Or is it not for Vulkan this, what you are doing? Is it for Vulkan? Dividal, are you making something with Vulkan or is it for something else? This imgu, what you're trying. It sure does. The only thing imgu is doing is providing vertex buffers and yeah, basically only vertex buffers and a texture, but yeah, or OpenGL, you know. But you need a graphics something, so either Vulkan or OpenGL. You don't need a GLFW, I think, for imgu, unless you want to use a very special feature that allows you to turn imgu windows into floatable windows, so put them in their own window, so you can put them outside of your main window. Okay, well, I was just telling you that to join the Vulkan Discord, but if it's not for Vulkan, then they won't help you because they can't even. Yeah, but if it is for OpenGL, then you will definitely be able to find examples spelled out on the internet. I don't. If you're not writing this on top of Vulkan, then it probably also makes little sense to try to compile my Linux viewer. That's difficult as it is. Probably, no, it's not worth it. You should look instead for documentation on IMGU. Say how to. I don't know, use IMGU with OpenGL. Yeah, assuming you're using OpenGL. I mean, you gotta tell me if that's not the case. Yeah, there's a complete video about it. Here's a tutorial. There's no way you cannot get this to work if you look on the internet or follow the tutorials that are. Introduction. Keep reading. Sometimes you just have to spend a whole day reading, and I'm sure you can do it. Just don't give up, and if you're stuck, then switch to reading again. Okay, I'm gonna continue with my stream. No, I thought you were asking how to use it in Vulkan. But if that was not your question, then I really think you should not look at my code. You should just look at the web pages of other people that have done it, or that made tutorials for it and everything. The GitHub is just the code. Well, look for other web pages, tutorials and documentation, and those YouTubes. It's a good start. No, it's very important that you type the underlying graphics stuff. So OpenGL, you could type in IMGU OpenGL tutorial, for example. Yeah, my Google foo is what is it? Is great. What do you say that? It's a skill, I guess. You have to type in the right keywords sometimes. You're welcome. Yeah, okay, so I was looking at this splitting AddShaderStage into two different instances. What does that do? We just try it and then maybe you'll get an idea why it goes wrong. But I would prefer to just understand it, I have to say. Now, AddShaderStage has to do with pre-processing and compiling shaders. For example, Here I have two shaders, fragment shader, vertex shader, and well, two fragment shaders, but we're going to use this one at some point. Let's say this one. And then my shaders look a bit weird because I let my engine generate the declarations. I mean, these are output, so out, I still have to do those manually. But the input variables are just declared like this, used like this. And my Vulkan engine is looking these things up in memory, what it is, and then generates the appropriate declaration, which then leads to some kind of weird variable name, which is then substituted instead of these things with the double colon, which you cannot use in GLSL. Now you see I have double colon things both in the fragment shader and in the vertex shader. And sometimes, I mean, not in this case, but I guess it would be possible to have the same thing in both. My Discord changes all the time, so that's the current invite. There's no chatting going on, so asking questions makes no sense. I'm afraid, but it's cozy. And I would have the way to contact you guys if YouTube, for example, suddenly decides to ban me for some reason. Things like that happen. Is this not used both? Also not. Okay, so before we pre-process, I need to tell the engine that it has to look for these strings, and then of course what the strings mean. And that is being done by each of these strings being represented by an object in the window class, in the application class. I mean, Vulkan tutorials don't make any difference between application and window. I do. I support multiple windows, and really these things are per window, I think. But you can think of it as an application, and so far I have only shortly tested multiple windows, but only using a single window so far. So it's almost the same thing. Think of a window class as the application class. I'm not going to look at Discord, I'm sorry. Too busy with streaming. Yeah, so let's look at the example. Let's say there is something that's called bottom 0. But unfortunately, the only place we see that here is this. It's a string. So to find the object, I have to this. Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, you never know. Different name. So you see the window class is defining an array. I mean, this type is just this type here, which is an array of shader resources in its namespace shader resource, combined image sampler. And I have 3 of them, and they get these names. So that is at the level of the window. Now, where do they get these names? Because this is then just these here, they are just constructed with the default constructor, so there is no difference between the first one and the second one and the third one. But that happens here. Here I run over all the 3 combined image samples that I have. I give them their name, the name that they will be recognized by in the shader. And I set some flags, and I can tell the engine as well if it is an array or not. So in that case, say there, now you have an array of size 2 for all of them. So in fact I have 6 combined image samplers, because each of them is an array. But I'm using just a single object for an array. I mean, combined image sampler here is what is it? It's not plural, but it can be an array of combined image samplers, really. Okay, that means that this must be done before we pre-process, otherwise you wouldn't even know what strings to look for. But it is by far not sufficient. I'm setting even my... Anyone thinks the music is too loud, please let me know. Setting it even softer here. Testing 1, 2. Okay, I have my voice very loud. I'm not hearing my voice at the moment because the delay is too loud. Okay, so I'm just initializing these global or window member variables here, objects, but the engine really doesn't know anything about it. I also have to hey, Fatman. Okay. Don't steal my viewers. Well, I'm just kidding. Combined image samplers must also be used then later on to tell the Vulkan engine that they exist. So this is the initialization, and this is the... Is this the top? It's 4%, so that must be the top. So this is the initialization. No, the declaration. And here I think that we are telling the Vulkan engine what to do with it, or or I'm using this accessor. That's also possible. Combined image samplers. Now here's accessors being used. That's probably it. I think I'm going to change this. I don't really like the having both an accessor and using it directly, and the characteristic is a child class of the window class, so it's a friend class anyway. So let's access it directly. Probably want to do that for all the window arrow stuff. So we have window vertex buffers. How do you know, Pilly? You are still dreaming. Billy thinks he or she woke up. Okay, so this is also an accessor that accesses the combined image samplers. I might as well also with this window do access it directly. Gonna look for window. Here I already do that. Yeah, it's kind of relaxing that nobody can follow it anyway. They're all here for the relaxation of my voice. So I can do what I want. Don't have to be very educational or anything. Yeah, it's commented out, but let's do this anyway. Also here. I think I'm just procrastinating doing real work. Are we round? I suppose we're round, right? Okay, and then I can try to delete the accessors. I think that well, it depends on the base field of the matrix. I think yes, but let's try to compile it. Let that change. Well, it's nice to hear, Yeshua. I never realized it, but many people say so since I started streaming on YouTube. So, just I guess I guess it's true. Yeah, I don't know. It compiled. Shall I do a git add -p to get rid of that, what I just did? Okay, we are playing with this, so with the work in progress comment I can commit this. Probably better to just really delete it instead of committing this. Just do a quit and really delete it. See, these are also accessors. Accessors. Is square even needed still? Why am I not just looking for a square? It's not being used. The positions. Let's try to comment that out as well. Google. You can ask on RSC as well. Depends, of course, on which distribution you want to install. But then you can go to Freenode, or what is it called? They call it differently these days. Doing the wrong tab. Libera IRC. Libera.chat. Yep. And then join the channel that is related to your distribution that you want to install, and then ask there. Way better. And yeah, it compiled, so that's great. No more accessors. Amazing, isn't it? Git diff. No, just add. Oh yes, got rid of all the accessors there. No accessors here, no accessors there, no accessors anywhere. Yep. No, what about that? Yeah, why not A? No, doesn't do anything, but I couldn't decide if I want to type it or not. And the reason I couldn't decide is because it didn't make any difference. Yeah, okay, see you. I just ate. I ate lunch and didn't eat breakfast, but I have to cut through to eat breakfast. I'm too lazy. So now we have an empty div. How awesome is that? But I do still have a new readme here. We're working on that here. Yeah, I was trying to explain how this works. So if we look at window.h, and then you see here add combine something. So these combined image sampler objects in the window class are then registered, as it were, from within a characteristic. And I suppose we can say that if I add them in this characteristic, then if this characteristic otherwise I wouldn't even do that, I guess, this characteristic is derived from AddShaderStage, then the shader CQ-stage that this characteristic is responsible for will be able to find the definition of that double colon string now, and what it means and how to generate the declaration for it. However, you can also give hints about in which descriptor set you want these things to end up in. It seems I'm not doing that in this application. Or am I missing something? At least I forgot how to do that. And so now I have separate the fragment shader characteristic defined. This code is not put into this characteristic, which is about the vertex. It's a vertex pipeline characteristic. And the only thing we add here is a push constant and vertex buffers. We'll look at the shader code again for the vertex shader here, and then you see that it contains vertex, buffer, data, as well as a push constant. While the fragment shader only contains some combined image samplers. So it's not here, but it is added here in the fragment pipeline characteristic. And the other one then does add push constant. Yeah, this is again in the vertex pipeline characteristic, and we add push constant and we add the vertex buffers. So this takes care of three of those strings. At the very least, I can imagine that push constant can be used in both. So it must be possible to do an add push constant here. And then the same push constant, which goes by type here, but you can use the whole exact same line. It should be possible to add that, to repeat this line in the fragment pipeline characteristic. But there is something else that makes them correlated. So even if the push constant is only used here, and the vertex buffers are obviously only used here, I'm really going to remove that. I have a I have a fake cat in my before my front window. Everyone is looking inside anxiously. I mean, I think the first days they probably looked inside and think, "Oh, cute cat." But now the cat hasn't moved for a whole week or 2 weeks. I cannot stand their look on their faces anymore. It's like, I don't know. Most people don't seem to like it when a cat looks like a cat but doesn't never move. And no, it's not a real cat. I didn't buy it even. I got it from my parents, and they love cats, and they got it from God knows where. But I think it was made in China, and it's made of a rabbit skin. This is the fur. Well, it looks pretty real. Or maybe just shouldn't care. I should think, well, yeah, look at that, and keep wondering, keep wondering. Rip, yeah, hi, I'm using Arch. Maybe you should make a little window here with a webcam that shows all the people that walk in front of my window. And you can see them look inside every time. Yeah. And then the police comes knocking on your door. Okay. Why can I not remember anymore? Not even a keyword. There is something that you can use to give hints to the Vulkan engine about which shader resources should go into the same descriptor set or should not. Keyword. Desired, I think. Nope, apparently not. Preferred. How do you write preferred? 1R? No, again not. It's not with 2 R's. Oh my god, it's with 1 R or with 2 R's? Yeah, that's the keyword, and I wrote it as preferred. And now I feel that it's probably not correct. Oh, it is preferred. Is it preferred or preferred? Showing result for preferred, it's 2 R's. Oh. So then this one is wrong. Just one line. Yeah, and then we see preferred descriptor set. It's still just pipeline factory. Okay, this one really uses it. So we create this local object here, and then we use that. Okay, that's how it worked. Yeah, you can pass that also to add. So it would be possible to create a set key preference, descriptor set key preference, and then use that in both add uniform buffer call in one characteristic and the add combined image sampler in another one, just like it is being done here, except now it's being done in a single characteristic. But I could split those up and then they would be called from different objects, and still that has to work together. So it's not the case that if the uniform buffer is only being used in the fragment shader and the combined image sampler is only being used in the vertex shader, that I only do an add uniform buffer in one object and an add combined image sampler in the other, and they are not connected in any way, because they are. I might both get a vector passed containing the same set key preference. Let's have a look where that goes to. Add uniform buffer. The factory. So that is being passed to the owning factory. Oh, okay. Problem solved. I guess so. Both characteristics will still have the same owning factory. However, if they are in different objects, they could be called at the same time by two different threads concurrently. So then these functions must be thread safe. Both call add shader resource. Here's the other one. And what are we doing with these preferred and undesirable descriptor sets? Oh, nothing. We're just passing it again. And we're passing it to a write locked list. It's being put back, so this is thread safe. Yep, this whole function is thread safe. It starts with locking a write lock on that list, and then it should work. Now note how this means that before we can use this, and then I mean this, all the characteristics, which are tasks by the way, so they run in the thread pool independently, must have finished adding before we, well, use this result. And they were being added to from a call to add uniform buffer, which for example happens here, which is in the initialize state. Does that mean that I cannot use an add in the fill state? I think that's indeed what it means. You cannot do it later. I mean, here we have a preprocess, but this is also not a range. But it definitely must be done before the preprocess. But if you have a characteristic that is a range, do I have an example of that? Not yet, really. Oh, I was in Texas. Texas is probably the best chance to have a range-like thing. So here all the add stuff happens in initialize, and then here we get a fill. This might be called multiple times. It is called before preprocess, but only once. So this state is executed first, initialized, and then this state is executed and once, and then preprocess is being executed. And then compile, and then the pipeline is constructed, and then we do another fill with a different fill index. Now if we would call another add here, it doesn't even make sense if you ask me. So I think that it should be disallowed. It should be disallowed. It's just really not allowed to do that. So how can I detect that? I'm going to add an assert for that, so and then we can be certain that everything happens during the initialization of the characteristics. Okay, let's follow this one. Add calls. No, nothing. Vertex input binding is not the best example. Let's use this one again. Okay, so now I'm in the pipeline factory, and hello, Light Tundra 59. Link program. It is linked. Oh, it's 10 more than yesterday. For a moment I thought you were talking about my CPU. So now I'm curious what CPU I have that I thought that. Because clearly this is about the number of subscribers. You made me do it. I'm just gonna cut. Let's see. Proc CPU info. No, if only. I have a 3950. Well, there's a 9 in it, in a 5, and it both ends on the 0. So maybe if I had a 5950, then I would have been up to date. Yep. Hey Chase, we are buddies. High five. I always buy the best. So when I bought this, it was the best. Well, I bought it for compile speed. But yeah, there are again larger and bigger ones right now. Nah, they say it doubles in speed every 2 years. Well, not. Absolutely not. I often wait 10 years before I buy a new PC. And even then it's hardly noticeable. I prefer to buy a new PC when the new PC is truly 10 times faster. But it never is. And it should be. That long I have waited then. If I'm lucky, it's 5 times faster by the time that it should have been 10 times faster. Yeah, I can't help it. I'm doing it again. If it should have been 10 times faster, and we are assuming a doubling every 2 years, I think it was even less first. So let's keep 2 years. Then how many years is that? Well, then the question is how much doubling is 10? And I think that would be the ln of 10 divided by the ln of 2, which is 3.3 times 2. So that would be 6.6 years. You would expect 10, but then instead it is 5. So oh, that's difficult. No, actually not difficult. But maybe I didn't wait 10 years then, I don't know. I can hardly think that I ever waited 10 years. But 8 years definitely. So 6.64 years. ln 5 divided by the ln 2 is 2.3 doubling. It's just one less, of course. So I need 1 divided by that times 6.64. So it would double every... Huh? Okay, this can't be right. No, never mind. Fixed all. Made a mistake. Maybe it doubles every 3 years. A little less. Yeah, the big disadvantage I feel about having so many cores for compilation is that yeah, one of the ways to have a quick compile time is, of course, that you have, you know, everything separated. So you make a change to one file and then you only compile that one file. However, each core, I mean, they still didn't make a compiler that uses more than one core for a single compilation unit. Barf, really. That's some serious idiotry. How do you call that? Why on earth am I not using all my 16 cores to compile a single file? That's beyond me. It's 2023. And I'm still compiling with a single core. So I make a change and I compile and I have to wait many seconds. Because it's using a single core to compile the one compilation unit. Idiocy, yep. I think they should, you know, finally start making compilers that use multiple cores to attack a single compilation unit. Yeah. Maybe better is per computer. Multiple. Nobody's talking about single compilation units. I guess there's maybe not a compile yet. Well, I am, and I'm finished. The last 20 years I've been working on that. Very seriously, the last 10 years. Well, before the Vulkan even. So 12 years ago I started really seriously and then worked 10 years until 2 years ago. And then I started Vulkan because I finished it. So the base upon which I write this Vulkan engine is something that is very, very, very easy to use multiple cores. Everything runs in a different core. Massively parallel. Okay, now I've got again what I was doing. So the add uniform buffer and the add combined image samplers register with the pipeline factory that they exist. And it has to be done in the initialization state of each characteristic task. And I wanted to add an assert for that. So let's have a look at pipeline factory. Pipeline factory, and that then should really. I'm not editing anything. Yeah, the characteristics, all characteristics are started here. And then we wait until all characteristics are initialized. And during that time, while we're waiting here, it is allowed that they add new shader resources. But once we wake up again, so when we get here, it's no longer allowed. Now I'm having a debug thing with that. Reach characteristic initialized. So I can just use that. No, I'm not sure. The debug is only... yeah, I don't know. I can compile without debug code, but still with assert. So I have different debug macros for that. And this one is only defined when CW debug is defined, I think. Maybe I should make a new macro, debug or assert. Or assert. Or I can just make it just assert, depending on where I'm using it. And it's already used in an assert. That's wrong. Seriously? That's an annoying mistake. Yeah, it's only used in the assert there. So I should not use debug. Assert is defined when I think CW underscore debug is defined. So it's super not clear. If this is defined, it's so unclear. I have to change that, I think. I always keep, I'm always being confused myself even, so. But by now I have a billion places where this is being used. If I rename it, I mean, how many of these debug things do I even have? I think they're all defined in this file though. Probably. Yeah, I have debug, CW debug with an underscore, CW debug without underscore. What else do we have? Hopefully only those three. That's the top. Okay, well these are all libcwd macros, as is cwdebug without the underscore. And then this cwds kit submodule defines also cw_debug. And this debug is I think where does that come from? Guess this means that you want to debug, but you're not using necessarily libcwd. It's definitely related to the assert. Yeah, so we get here, if cwdebug is not defined, then debug can still be defined, in which case we still use assert, but then just as the normal assert. Oh well, let's not do it yet. At the very least I have to look at that. Wait, I do have an yeah, I can use this one. So the macro debug is, you can put code here and then that will only be used when cwdebug without the underscore is being defined. And this one is using the code between the parentheses when cw_debug is defined, which is defined in both cases. Also when debug or cwdebug without underscore is being defined. But that's also the case for asserts, so we need to use debug underscore only when code is only needed for asserts. And no, I don't think that's a good a good interface, because I've been confused by it myself too often. But I can't think of the perfect solution, and it is gonna involve many changes over many projects, and it would be not even backwards compatible. So yeah, first I need to know what would be the best thing to do. And then I can, let's edit yeah, this one as well then. And finally this is using the wrong macro. So after having fixed that, now I can use this also when those add functions are being called. So for example, here I'm calling add, and that must be done from initialize. And therefore, if only add combined image sampler of the pipeline factory is being called, or when add characteristic, I was more looking for add uniform buffer. Add uniform buffer, and both call add shader resource. So let's just do it there, I guess. Or shall I put it here? No, I just put it in a single place. It's already there. Oh my god, really? So I wanted to add this, but it's already there. Shader resource should only be added once from the initialization state of the character, not the field state. Yeah, that's what I wanted to add. Okay. No. But at least we fixed the bug while looking at it again. Now it's called using, no. And I said now it was using 32 threads, and then instantly it went to 1 or 2. So this took almost 3 times longer than it should have taken. We had used all my cores at 100% all the time until the end. I would have finished 3 times faster. Okay, so now we know that all those adds are adding shader resources are done from the initialization state of the characteristics. And only after that we start preprocessing. So that should work. I just find them and replace them, etc. during the preprocessing. But I also want to look at this, the generation of the set index hints, which depends on this preferred thing, which I forgot again. Preferred. Should have used an X there. Wait, no, that's not true. These are also passed during the add. You pass them during the add. So they are also all known. All of them are known. So that should work. Now, what in the end really is looked at, you say, look at pre-process. Nope, that's this one. It is really looking for shader in the shader variables. This should contain all the strings with the double colons in it that might exist in the current shader that we are compiling. Well, this is, you know, just one AddShaderStage. This is a member function of AddShaderStage. So what exactly is in there then? Push back. So AddShader variable must be called on AddShaderStage. And that's being called from here. That's just a push constant. Okay, that's confusing. Now it should work for add push constant 2, of course, but apparently add shader variables is just one way to being added, and that is then being used for the add push constant. Okay, let's look at that then. This add shader variable is being called from... Oh right, yeah. No, yeah. So if you in a certain characteristic call add push constant member, well, no, you don't. This is being called from here. So if you call add push constant from a characteristic, from the initialization state of a characteristic task, that will lead then to a call to add push constant member for each member of the push constant struct, which then adds each member to well, calls add shader variable for each member of the push constant, which adds it to mShader variables. In other words, you have to do add push constant in the characteristic that is derived from any shader, either AddVertexShader or AddFragmentShader, if that shader uses that push constant, and that makes sense. But AddShader variable is only used by push constant. So then where else is mShader variables being filled? To look at that again. I guess I missed it. Oh, there's one. Or is that the one that I looked at? Guess it's always pushback, so it's highlighted. Loads, I missed all of them. I'm going to start at the top because I probably did that before. This is copy shader variables. Yeah. Oh. That's what the one that we looked at. Prepare combined image sampler declaration. Prepare uniform buffer declaration. Okay. It's only 3 places where something is called. Hello, Dank. Copy shader variables. So those 3 must be called before we start preprocessing. Let's look where they are being called from. This one is called after I was going to say all characteristic ranges have been initialized, but I have another one here, but that's just, you know, in the case it's not a range. So it's the same thing. Let's just look at this. When do we get here? Let's say it's a single characteristic. Yeah, I think this is being called well, initialized is done, is executed after this is by the way the base class of our characteristic, and this state is executed when the user initialize state has been executed. So after this was initialized, after initialized state was executed of our characteristic, then this will be executed, which then calls this, but then that would be called for each characteristic. So if we have multiple characteristics, then we will have multiple calls for this. But it is a member function of AddVertexShader. So they also, if we have multiple characteristics, then, well, each characteristic has exactly one AddVertexShader instance. Either because you know, the diamond inheritance, because the characteristic is derived from AddVertexShader and from AddFragmentShader, which then both derive from this class as a virtual base class. So I better keep that in then, that it is a virtual base class. Cannot change that. Or can I? Yeah, well, I have to, otherwise I don't even know which function to call. I mean, the characteristic range is not derived from AddVertexShader. It's not. It is derived from characteristic range bridge. But AddVertexShader is also derived from characteristic range bridge. That's why we would call the right function that's why this ends up in AddVertexShader. Ah, okay, that's not even the AddShaderStage, it's AddVertexShader. So we always only have one of those. This is not a virtual base class. Yeah, sorry, this is a vertex buffer stuff. Nevertheless, shader variables is a member of that virtual base class. But I guess that doesn't matter here, because this function is being called from the characteristic task, which is single-threaded in the sense that there's only one thread at a time executing any code inside of that characteristic object, I mean. Therefore, as long as this is being called internally and not externally, or any other function externally accesses shader variables without the proper initialization, as is the case that we wait until all of them are finished with initialization, which means that it is important that we call this before that function. So this function updates shader variables, and when it is done, it calls characteristic range initialized on the factory, and that might cause the factory to immediately read this variable. So if you would do this first, then things wouldn't work. That would not be thread safe. Definitely part of the initialization still. me think. Copy share variables. Yeah. Next one was this one. This is being called here. And you can, I don't really read all of this. Mostly I'm just, I mean, I know it's a whole word. It's so long that it's only going to be that thing, not something unrelated. So I just look at the void here, and then I don't have to look at the rest, because then this is declaration, this is a declaration, this is debug output, and this is the call. And it should be that there's only one place where things are being called. Preferably, really, you don't want to have any code duplication. And even in terms of functionality. So code that does this call has a certain task, as it were, certain functionality to execute. And it should only be one code line that does that, with certain exceptions, but in general you want you should like start thinking, you know, if you see a call being done on 2 places, there must be, like here, 3 places even. There must be a pretty good reason for it. It must not smell at all like code duplication. Must be very clear that this is necessary and completely different code, more or less. No, that's being called when prepare shader resource declaration is being called, which gets the AddShaderStage passed. Now we're getting somewhere. Let me first look at the other one. That's the same thing, right? So either this one or this one. Same function name, but that's a virtual function that is being called from somewhere, and well, from A4. Pretty good, and you can immediately start studying something else. Like, well, okay, you get 1 day rest from me. Tops. No. Well, I don't know. What do you actually mean with all your exams? It's now January. Certainly you're not completely done with school or whatever you're doing. More is coming this year even, isn't it? Yeah, well, okay. So no reason not to. Only 3. Okay. No reason not to start immediately with the subject of the next semester then. If you start already now, then you'll get it's gonna be super easy in the end. Shortly before your exam, you already know everything, and you're gonna get a way high degree as well. Can't start early enough. No, you don't have books? Well, I'm not saying that you really have to, you know, start studying today or tomorrow. But you might be curious. Maybe you're curious. If Monday you get a lecture, then I would be curious to know what it's about, so you can maybe already look at the notes that you know, the book or whatever you have, syllabus of that lecture. Then you go to the lecture even more prepared as well. Which means that you will absorb way more. The lecture might even make sense then to go to. If you don't know anything and then you go to a lecture, then it's hard to concentrate and you miss half, and if there's something you don't understand, then you start thinking about that and miss everything else the professor is saying. While if you studied it in advance, then you can precisely follow what he says. It's going to be easy, and you follow his line of thought, and you can make notations about it, and then you're one of those star students looking very intelligent. Well, all you did was just prepare. Hello, Esom. Did I already tell that story? I think I told that story. Where I didn't even know that we had an exam. I just came to school, and 5 minutes before the start of the exam I heard that there was an exam. And then I was like, oh shit, I didn't study anything at all. What is this about? So I went to the smartest guy, and I mean, that guy was only getting 10s. When he had a 9, he was super disappointed. He was really in the 10 out of 10, you know, the highest grade. Our grades go from 1 to 10. So I went to him and I said, please give me a summary or an overview of what this is about, most important things that I need to know. And he was so kind to do that in the 5 minutes that we still had. And then I went on and I got an 8, I think. Not a 10. I cannot really remember anymore. And everyone was so pissed off. They had studied the whole weekend, and I had done nothing except for 5 minutes. Yeah, okay. But that's not how you should do it. It's not smart. So it's not smart to do it on purpose. Let's put it that way. But that was mathematics. So mathematics is simple. So I don't think it's possible. Would be possible for a language. It's more like a language. I mean, a computer language. It's more like a real language. So you just have to stamp things in your memory, right? You can't derive it on the go, or wing it, as they call it. And memorizing is a bit harder. It has always been harder for me. Memorizing is way harder than understanding things. In high school, I never made any homework at all for mathematics, biology, not even physics, nothing. It was enough to just, you know, flip through the pages once, and then I would just derive everything or whatever was needed during exams, or how do you call that in high school. I put all my time, I had to put all my time into languages like French and German and Dutch and pure horror. And the geography, you know, learning where all the capitals are in the world, as if that was ever used to me, because I forgot them all again. That was very difficult. Because then I had to memorize stuff that was not logical. Prepare shader resource declarations is being called. Okay, damn man, I keep forgetting what I'm doing. Not good. Hey Sam, nobody understands it. Even the underlying ideas are extremely difficult. So difficult that I cannot have them in my head at the same time. Which is for a big deal because of my age, but I'm the one who thought of it and wrote it. So yeah, it's probably not possible for anyone following the stream to understand what this is all about. Even though I'm, you know, kind of trying to explain while I'm going. I did quite some explaining in the beginning of this stream, but then I got distracted by the chat. Let's do that again. Switching to another page, so not looking at the chat. Yeah. The problem is I really forgot what I was doing. I should have kept concentrating. Damn it. Nope, don't know anymore. Right, I'm looking at which functions and when they are adding something to shader variables. Copy shader variables. It's fake, but it's called on AddVertexShader, so it's about vertex buffer variables, really. And I had already established, I think, that this was thread safe, provided, of course, that everyone else also is only adding to shader variables when being run by well, this task. AddVertexShader object is a task, and only that task may add stuff to shader variables. And this one also adds stuff to shader variables, and well, this one as well. And both are being called from a virtual function implementation called prepare shader resource declaration. And this is one of them, which calls the uniform buffer declaration thing, implemented by the uniform buffer base class derived from whoever this virtual function defined this virtual function. And the other one is then this one. And it's called the same. So then the question is, when is this virtual function being called? And that is then done from here, and only from here, as far as I saw it. So the debug output, the call declaration, debug output, declaration, declaration, declaration. So yes. And I think I'm definitely violating here the rule that should only be called by the task, because this is the pipeline factory. However, the pipeline factory is allowed to do this if none of the tasks is accessing that, well, writing to variable shader variables anymore. So now it kind of depends on when this function is being called. And that happens after all characteristics are filled. So now I have to go back again to make sure that that is the case, and I think 99% sure that that is the case, but only now I realize that it has to be the case. So now only now I can consciously think about it. Maybe I should add here that okay, let's see, add dot 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 to shader variables, and then that dot 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 meaning that's doing a lot more as well. This generates set index hints depending on the those vectors that you passed with preferred and undesirable combinations of descriptor sets, or rather shared resources inside certain descriptor sets, which you want and don't want to be together. Vertex attributes are the vertex buffer stuff. So per index and per vertex things that are in the vertex buffer. But then, well, not the real data, but the members thereof. So the data, so let's say if you have a vertex buffer, it contains structures, a lot of data per certain type. So it's basically the whole buffer is an array of structures of a certain type, and then you have either one such structure per vertex, so hence a lot, or per instance. And you have two different buffers, one for per vertex, and the other one is then data that you advance to the next struct when you go to the next instance. And each of these structs have certain members, of course, and those are the vertex attributes. So vertex attributes are just one kind of shader variables. Where shader variables is invented by me, the name, and that just means everything that needs a declaration. You know, at the top of a shader. So clearly this happens before the other one, and I had a third place. I mean, this copies the vertex attributes. Here we copy the oh, I just edited it here. Here we copy the shader resources, so combined image samplers and uniform buffers, and then of course you have the push constants also. I think that then should be the last case, which I'm still missing. Just try to look at this point again. So this pushback is copy shader variables. So that was the vertex attributes. 45. 2015 is a call to add shader variable. Yeah, that's push constants. And then we have this one. Prepare this combined image sampler. And this one is the uniform buffer. So the only thing I still need to do then is this one. I mean, push constants happens by a call to add shader variable. Which is done at the moment you call add push constant from the initialization stage. So that's also all the way up there. So this is thread safe because each characteristic is its own task, and shader variable is a member function of that characteristic object, which is single threaded. So it will first add push constants and then it will add vertex attributes. Might be though that we have multiple shader variable instances. If we have multiple characteristics which have a shader variables object which is a member of the AddShaderStage base class, so that is only really possible when one characteristic is derived from AddVertexShader and the other one is derived from AddFragmentShader. But I don't think that there is a problem with having separated the strings that appear in shader variables. Because that's really only used for declarations and stuff like that, and pre-processing. But this call here this call needs to know then which object it has to add to, which AddShaderStage base class that has the correct shader variables to add to. And I guess that depends just on the shader resource itself. Depends on where the shader resource was added. In other words, we have to remember the AddShaderStage base class in the same place as where we get shader resources from at this point. Which means, if you ask me, that I just don't want to remember a pointer to that in the pipeline factory at all. Because we have a single pointer, but that didn't work. So I think I'm going to remove that pointer and then try to fix things again, taking into account that this pointer might be different for each call here. I do not want to have this pointer here. I think it should be possible as well, because the shader resource is gotten here from a loop that runs over shader resource plus characteristic index. So that means that we have an index at least to the characteristic. And that is theoretically enough information to know which characteristic it is, and therefore which AddShaderStage instance is related to this. So let's begin with deleting that. That may be a big change, so maybe I should do a commit first. Oh, it's almost nothing, but okay, let's commit this anyway. And it's compiled, so git add -p. Let's look at it anyway. This was a typo, so let's commit that. Yeah, that was just a wrong macro, and I just added a good comment here. And another wrong macro. And another comment, and another wrong macro. Git commit. Work in progress. Now we are clean again. And I'm going to grab for that thing, and I'm going to remove it. We might still have to do the dynamic cast somewhere in order to know if it is derived from it or not, and this might be the best place to do that anyway. But I don't have this anymore. I don't want to store it anymore. This is nonsense, and therefore this is nonsense. But we have to do something with that, of course. No, wait. That was that. Okay, seems to be deleted. Yep. So now it doesn't compile anymore because I removed that argument. Maybe it doesn't make much sense to have this verbose now I think about it. Because I think it was an error and I don't see the error anymore because it gets fluted away by continued compilation where I'm suppressing the errors anyway. So what I really want to do is not have verbose compile output. I mean I'm calling my CMake, I'm building through CMake build, but run by my own Ninja filter thing. So I might as well stop compiling really after the first error occurred. No matching function for call 2. Prepare shader resource declaration because I removed the last argument. So really I should just start with editing that thing. Remove the last argument here as well, or last argument. What? Prepare shader resource declaration. Set index and hint and then pointer that I removed. Also another trick, if you have a list like this, well maybe you use something else. Anyway, the way I find where I was is just by looking at the line number. Line numbers are always unique, so you just look at the 16 and I find that back very quickly. This is a declaration, but it has the pointer, so I have to edit that. Another one. It's virtual function, so it appears in a lot of places. All the base clauses, derived clauses. Well, that should be the last one. And then, apart from not being able to compile this, yeah, another trick. I mean, well, that subject anyway. If you comment out code, it's at best to use if zero instead of you know, commenting it out like this. Or, well, if it's a single line, you can, of course, but if it's multiple lines, definitely use this. And the trick is then that if you put a lot of syntax highlighters, just make it gray, because now it's a comment. But if you want to see the syntax highlighting anyway, you can put a minus in front of it. So if minus 0, then it's of course still not compiled, but you still get the syntax highlight. Was another advantage, I think, if you do, or maybe if 0 is different, but Basically, the compiler can still see it as code, might even warn you about certain things, but I don't know. I don't see how, actually. Maybe for other things. Doxygen or something like that, or linter. I'm gonna look at chat. Did some concentration there, so that's good. Where did I all miss? Hello, Nick to Nico. It's good. It's going good. It's only for vulkan. What desk environment are you using? I'm using Fluxbox. I like KDE best, but I found it unstable. And I tried towards the other one, GNOME, but nah. So I went back to KDE, but still unstable. So, and at some point it got really bad suddenly. And so I couldn't use it anymore. At least that is, I have KDE, but I removed Plasma. So, well, that is KDE basically. At least the desktop part. And now I'm using Fluxbox, which gives me something that is pretty stable. The only thing that goes wrong is when I bound one of my mouse buttons, like button 10 or something like that, to displaying this Fluxbox menu. And if I do this and then I accidentally let go of the button or not, or I accidentally left click. So it might happen when I left click on this. It only seldom happens, and usually when I just make a spasm move on my mouse and then accidentally press two buttons or click click, something weird happens at the moment. And I think that Fluxbox crashes or something like that, because after that I have no menu anymore. I cannot switch anymore between windows. Well, I can with the top key, but my mouse is completely dead. I can see my mouse, but if I click on a window, it doesn't highlight. I cannot open menus. I cannot open the Fluxbox menu. I cannot do nothing. I have to reboot. But that doesn't seem related to the horrible instability that I had with Plasma. Okay. I do not have hot chocolate. I want hot chocolate. I don't have it anymore. I cannot wait till next Christmas. Oh, I'll be right back. Oh, I forgot something. It's in the oven. Well, the oven turned off, but still, it shouldn't be in the oven that long. while the oven is off. Well, too bad. It would have been nicer if it was still warm. But yeah. And put the rest in the fridge, of course. Yeah, it's pretty tasty. No, I just cut off a piece and ate it, and I put the rest in the fridge. But I'm gonna eat in a bit. I first want to get this working again. What do we do? What do we do here? Yeah. Apparently it's called countryham there. In Dutch it's called beenham. I guess. Does it come from hamstring? Nico, not really. I'm asking RC. Looks completely different. Yeah. Colorwood Google. Color Google wood, I mean. Don't ask Google, ask Carlo. So I drink some wine with it. Scotty, I'm not involved with any kind of security stuff. Completely unrelated what I do. I'm what I used to call a real hacker before media took over and people started to think that hackers were people that circumvent security and you put black in front of it, erase hard disk and shit like that. Never been into that. It's only that, you know, if I have a certain goal or I want something and someone gets in the way, then I might, you know, find a way around it. Let's say if I don't know, my government would shut off my internet, then I will do anything in my power to get it back. Absolutely anything. Because I want internet, but that doesn't mean that I'm white or black hacker, as in the sense that what is it? In the sense that you mean it. Absolutely not. I just want to code my my Vulkan engine while while streaming. Okay, when I moved, well, it was apparently in 2020, so like a little bit more than 2 years ago. My PC runs its own email server. It has done that for a long time. And I moved and I came here and port 25 was closed. Seriously. You could not connect anymore to my PC from the outside on port 25. So I call my ISP and say, hello, please open that port. Yeah, cannot do. And then I asked around, and then I understood that they closed it to protect their customers. Because if you allow people to run their own email server, then they get a lot of spam, and of course they will be hacked, and they get, you know, all kinds of trouble. Especially if you do it wrong, then you will become a spam relay, for example, or you get all kinds of malware emailed to you, and then you click on that, and then they take over your Windows machine. So it was to protect me. So I said, well, I don't need protection. Please open port 25. Yeah, that cannot do. Okay, so my port is open. I can receive email. Yeah, that's all I say. Don't tell me I need to be protected. But then I dropped everything, and the only thing I did was trying to open my port number, my email port. I needed to receive email. Well, there was actually now even well much more on that topic. What was it called? You could, that's one of those sites, I think it was. I don't think it was GitHub. It was the other one. The one before that, SourceForge. SourceForge, I used to use SourceForge before GitHub, and you could log in there. There was an account. You did get an account, and you could put your repositories there, SVN mostly. Back then, I cannot remember the details of it, but at some point something goes wrong. I mean, I just want to use SourceForge, okay, but then something goes wrong, and let's say I couldn't access my repository anymore. It didn't want to check out or check in, and just failure. So you contact the help desk or help services, or how is it called? Help, please help. No, and they say nothing during a day. And then after 2 days they react and they fix it. But that's 2 days waiting. So the next time it happened, I think I again waited a whole day, and the next time it happened, I was like, yeah, What am I going to do during those 2 days waiting? Let's try to fix it myself. And well, that I don't know. I did find a security problem, so I could fix it myself. I didn't need them anymore. I could just, you know, basically log in and fix it myself. But clearly I'm more like the white hat guy then, because I also warned them. I said, did you know that by doing this and that you can get access to blah blah blah? And they ignored it. They ignored it. I'm sure they read it. Maybe even got an email back, and nothing was done about it. And half a year or a year later, their whole site was taken over in exactly the same way by someone else. Idiots. And then they plugged the hole. So apparently I should have erased a few hard disks before they woke up. I don't have a camera anyway, so I don't need a mask. I could use my phone as a camera though. I think it's possible. Let me try that. To plug this in, something like that. OBS. This thing here is called OBS, and then we have you. Yeah, I thought so. You cannot change anything while you're running. I guess it's under video or something like that, but this is just describing the output. I don't know. I'll try when I want to stop the stream. Okay, so very soon I want to go eat, and by that time I want this to work. So I have to concentrate again for a bit. Concentrate mode. Yeah, need to find back the shader stage object that corresponds to and we don't know that. Prepare. I really cannot get that right, or can I get it from the combined image sample updater? Seems unlikely. No, that would be annoying. Seems I do have to pause it, after all. Okay, let's see if I really can access that where I'm calling it. Access it, get it, somehow. That would do. We have a characteristic range pointer here. So you can get a characteristic range pointer by calling this on the shader resource plus characteristic. Which is that thing. Well, So const pointer. Oh, the stock market closed. Okay, I just have to. I have to look. $6.19. Nah. Yeah, I'm just lazy. $6.12. Hmm. $6.23. Holy shit. Holy shit. So it went 20 euros up per stock. At this point. Yeah, well, I don't think I would have bought it here at 6.12 anyway. Chew. I'm a cheap guy. I wanted to have it for 600. Yeah, maybe 6.5, but it never got as low as 6.10 even, I think, today. That way, not making any money, of course. I don't know. $509. Yeah, it's not good. I'm afraid that now it's going to go up tomorrow. I wish I had it. I had bought it at 612. Yeah, well. It just keeps resembling gambling, if you ask me. So I don't know. It will go down as well. But this if, you know, if this, then I would have 200 euros more in one day. That's nice. Characteristic did not compile. Oh. I have this twice in a row. Why do I have it twice in a row? Oh, whoa. Yeah, well, we have seen them in the past days as well, post bunny, but yeah, you weren't here, so you missed it. Think of I fixed the old applications as well to work with the refactoring, so they work again. I just ran them to see if I broke something unrelated to this texture test thing. But it's the only one that doesn't work. Okay, so this is not allowed indeed. You cannot add and not do an add here in fill. Let's just not do it. But then maybe I should do it in initialize. Combined image sampler 0. I should probably do the same thing as I did here before I defined that thing. These two lines, that's what I need. In the initialize. Fragment pipeline characteristic. Initialize. Add push constant. So that's what it should be. Which was just a pretty Nick to Nico. Damn. Then this is no longer true. I'm getting seriously hungry, or I didn't cook my meat correctly. Probably the latter. It was still a bit pink inside. I followed the instructions. It's 45 minutes on 175 degrees. But a lot of water came out. So the bottom of the meat was in the water. So it never got really, really hot, I guess. I don't know. Feeling slightly weird. Anyway, I hope I won't get sick, and even if I won't, then still, if the meat is not cooked correctly. I'm supposed to be pink. Then what am I feeling in my stomach? Maybe the stomach is just empty. That's possible. Nobody ever died by food poisoning, certainly not in this age. I guess I'll just eat it. Yeah, pork must be cooked very well. I know. Very well. Or you must be Muslim, then you don't know how to cook. and you just don't eat it. Following a rule from the time that people didn't know what germs were and what cooking did to them. I'm gonna stop streaming and eat. I could eat pea soup, I guess, or more pork without knowing if it is cooked well enough, making me even more sick. What do you think? Een grote friet met mayonaise zonder friet. Dat is gewoon pure mayonaise, man. I don't know that. Anonymous, you are Dutch or what? I'm not sure that microwaving for 1 minute will be enough. I'll have to heat everything up for till 60 degrees again, and then keep it there for a while. Okay, end of the stream. That is, I just can't, so I'm going to play chess instead. But basically, this is where you see that Carlo is stopping with coding. Well, as if I haven't. Every time I looked at the chat. Let's play really bad. Still want to put it here. Outside of my pawn chain. Okay, I'm gonna go there. Now I can push this pawn. I can push it. Push, push. Oh, no, I cannot. No longer push it. Yeah, that's super annoying. I have to admit that. Very, 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 very annoying. Let's push this pawn, right? You want to push this pawn, right? What if I push this pawn? What's my knight doing here? It should probably been there or something. So annoying, this. Checker. Take back. Go here. Push the pawn. Go back. Oh, let's do that. So annoying, this guy. Incredibly annoying. Might as well castle first. Yeah, right. As if I ever let this pawn go anywhere. No, I'm not. Plus, I'm already going back myself now. Out of free will. Yeah. But yeah, this guy must have a plan. He has a rating over 2000. He is aiming 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces at this blockade here. How is he gonna get rid of this blockade? How? Push this pawn. It's about the only option. And then he takes, and I take back, and then he can take again, and then I take again, and then he has nothing. This pawn is so blocked as you can possibly imagine. So all these pieces are looking at a pawn that's not moving. It's not going anywhere, that pawn. Strange. Okay. Well, there he is. Oh, he wants to push it and I win my bishop. Or not. I think he just hopes that I take. I'm not going to take this pawn here that screams to be sacrificed here. Let alone that, no. No. Okay, I'm going to need that knight. He wants to go there and then... Okay, that's slightly annoying. Take here. Take back. Then he can take and tick, 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 tick. Not good. Not good. He could go here and then he goes there and do this and he takes and I take like that and he takes and I take back. That's good enough. Let's go here. I also just should push this pawn up, I guess. It's even better defense of my blockade here. Well, he did get rid of his bad bishop, got to admit that. But I don't think his knight is any better at the moment. What's this one? He is not pushing it. Oh, and I'm blocking that pawn as well. Now he has his knight and two rooks aimed at this blockade. And now he comes to the other pawn, I guess. Is that the idea here? Suppose I push and he takes. Now let's move this one, this one. This is my pawn majority. Let's move them forward. What the hell is he doing? Oh, weird moves, weird moves. He wanted to grab this pawn. A knight on the rim is a sneaky, suddenly come forward, attack my pawn beast. Doesn't rhyme, does it? I'm gonna push this pawn and then I'm good. So this knight is 4 moves away from my rook. My rook blocks is not a good blocker this, but yeah, I don't have anything else. Blocks his pawn, so knight looks at nothing. The rooks are totally useless. He has to move the rooks again. Put this rook here, that would be good. Attack his knight. It's not doing it. Yeah, I have to admit that now if you give check, it takes like this. I don't know. Well, I'm not sure about it. Suppose I do this, it's also not good. I have to go to the side probably. Which side? This side? Defend this square. And attacking this pawn here. He doesn't see it. I'm just kidding. Oh, no, I cannot push my pawn because he is attacking that one there. That's horrible. And if we go here, I just take this pawn. That's not good. But what do you go there? The rook was undefended anyway. Okay, that's a good move. I have to admit that. That is a good move. Oh, I'm losing on time. Well, at least it looks like it. But I have a free pawn, so I have a plan. I'm losing this pawn though. That's kind of very, very annoying. Not enough time. Not enough time. Double duty for this rook. I just have to push this pawn. Push, 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 promote. He's thinking way too long for me to feel comfortable about this. The knight is gone. Why was that not possible? Can't remember it anymore. This is move. I have to move. Now he can think as long as he wants. I mean, as long as he did before. If he makes neither time equal while taking twice his time every move. I'm going to have chances there. Yeah, time is equal. He's gonna lose on time instead of me. That's ridiculous. Oh boy. Okay, this is not easy. This is not easy. Let's go back. This guy is so losing in time. Bing. Oh. He's still alive. Oh, that was nasty of me. I gave away a rook to make him lose on time. Yeah, that was fun. Okay, I'm gonna cook, eat, yeah. I'll see you guys.